My first game system was the Atari 2600. I had a lot of retro game systems. So this has HDMI, can play 720p. Not that Atari games are high resolution, but you could connect it to your TV more easily. There are 120 games in this. There are a pair of wireless controllers, and you can save, resume, and rewind games. This is a lot like the Sega Genesis Flashback made by the same company. So let's take a look at the box. It's got nicer packaging, and a bunch of the games are listed back here. I don't even remember a lot of these games, but there's Oink by Activision. There's Pitfall, which is awesome, so Activision games are on here. Sequest, Sea Battle, Real Sports Games, all of them it seems. Star Master, Sword Quest games, I remember those. Tempest, Warlords, Asteroids, so a lot of the classics. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. This is the most expensive of the Flashback consoles. There are actually a couple of Atari consoles that they're selling right now. This is the only one that's HD. So you got an Atari poster. AtGames is really into putting the posters in the box, which is kind of cool. This is the Flashback 8 Gold, which has a very similar graphic design to the Sega one with the same white grid, which I'm not so wild about. There's Pitfall, which feels like a bit of an afterthought. None of the cool Atari art that I remember that they've created great art books with. But anyway, if you want a kind of okay Atari poster, here's one with crease marks and instructions on the back. Inside the box, you've got the little Atari console. This is very small, and it doesn't, okay, this doesn't really look like an Atari console that I remember. It's like kind of with sort of wood grain that's a sticker and a bunch of buttons. So you've got difficulty buttons, select buttons, start, power, and 2 authentic game controller ports. So both of these here, you could plug in old controllers if you have them, or use the wireless ones. The HDMI is on the side, which is kind of strange. So I don't know the reason for that. That's the box. It does not play cartridges, unlike the Sega Genesis Flashback, so I'm sorry. But it does have a lot of games on it. You also get 2 of these old-fashioned controllers, and they're wireless. You have to unscrew this to get to the batteries, and it feels okay. This doesn't feel as flimsy as the Sega Genesis one. One button. This actually feels like it's easier to move than the original 2600 joystick, which was really stiff. So there's that. There's the other joysticks. It's such a strange thing to have again. And here's the AC adapter. Pretty small. In fact, it looks like the same exact AC adapter as the other Sega Genesis console. And HDMI. So that's how the hardware looks. These 2 wireless controllers and the console, which is pretty lightweight plastic. What's weird is that these 2 wireless controllers, one of them has extra buttons. The other doesn't. So if you want to be able to use the extra buttons, use the correct controller. The one that has the extra buttons has 4 on the side. These are reset, select, start, and replay, because this has game rewind. So I guess that brings up game rewind functions for all of the games. We'll have to see how that works. Other than that, it's your classic but more lightweight feeling, I think, joystick. The joystick actually feels less stiff than the original Atari 2600 joystick, but it feels really weird to be using a joystick again. Anyway, I want to have as many people playing the Atari 2600 and its games as possible. People who have never played it before and people who have played all the games. How do they look on a giant HDTV? We'll find out. Stay tuned at CNET. We'll tell you about it.